Hello and welcome to Insights in Action with Orange 142, where we interview agency leaders and business owners to uncover the journeys, the strategies, and the insights that drive their success. At Orange 142, we're all about transforming brand stories into impactful digital experiences through innovative media and marketing solutions. And today I'm very lucky to be joined by Michael Prince of Beyond Design. How's it going, Michael?
Great. Thank you for having me today. I appreciate it.
Yeah, Michael, I would love to just start off just to learn a little bit more about your background and a little bit more about Beyond Design.
Sure. My background, I'm a product development person, meaning that I love working on products and looking at people and humans and interactions and then figuring out what kind of new products and solutions can we come up with. So my background is industrial design, but I also got into marketing, into manufacturing, into just general business strategy. So I cover the whole gambit.
Mhm. That's awesome. And you established Beyond Design in 1994 to work across various industries that just to create these practical solutions that enhance user experience. What motivated you to transition from large corporations to founding your own consultancy, and how has this move allowed you to achieve your own vision?
Politics. That's probably the best word. Large corporations, many people, lots of politics. It's a lot slower moving. There's a lot of positives, though. Working in a large corporation, you really get to work with a lot of people from different disciplines and different viewpoints, and ultimately the same goal to develop a product and get it to market. So I really enjoyed that aspect of it. But for me, I needed something a little bit faster, more of the front end, researching and understanding the problems, and then coming up with ideas and solutions, and then trying to develop it. Once we get into that, the design for manufacturing, we do that all the time. It's just after that where there's just a lot of time that's dedicated that as a consultant, companies don't want to pay us to do that, nor is that really our specialty,
Mm.
right? Our specialty is at the front end of it, coming up with the ideas, proving them out, and getting them ready for manufacturing.
Yeah. And so you appreciate clients who are passionate, ambitious, and decisive. And I'm curious, how did these client characteristics influence the design process for you guys?
Hmm. It's interesting because we're a consultant, we work with so many different kinds of clients. Each one is a little bit unique and different in how they engage with us and how we work with them. So, for instance, a lot of times we'll go out there, we'll get an understanding for a particular need, what the business situation is, how we can really come in and help, right? We're going to provide value to it. But then we have other customers that literally they go on to mid-journey, they develop something that they think is really cool looking, and then they come to us and they say, "Hey, can you just do this in CAD? Can you engineer it and make it so that I can take it to manufacturing?" So it's changing in that respect. It's a lot like typesetting. When typesetting came out, the whole industry for graphics, they went haywire. We're going to lose our
Mm.
jobs. And that didn't really happen. The technology changed. While some users were able to get in and use typesetting techniques through a Mac computer, they really didn't have the skill levels from a design standpoint or that education to do it properly, to make it
Mm.
better. So there's always going to be a position for those who know how to use the tools to implement what you want. So that's how I look at it. Now, AI is changing that. We don't use AI in that kind of a way where it's doing the work for us. We use AI more of a tool to help us ideate faster and
Mm.
get more ideas down so that we can evaluate so we can make good decisions.
Mm. And that's the use, and I think that's where it gets confusing for a lot of people in that people think that AI is there to replace tasks, and it very well may one day, right? With enough information, enough inputs, it may. But right now, it still needs that human touch behind it. It needs the expertise behind it to guide it, yeah, correctly. And it's
Mhm.
just not doing that right now, you know?
Right. As a designer and human being, I hope it doesn't overcome the humans. Then we'll have nothing to do, and that's not good either.
Yeah, idle hands, right? So you mentioned that design is often misunderstood as just the final result rather than a problem-solving process. How do you educate clients and stakeholders about the importance of viewing design as a verb? And how does this perspective impact the success of a project?
You'd mentioned earlier about different clients and how to approach them. Some clients are very well educated, Those are the ones that usually come from corporations, that they have a process, they know exactly what they're looking for, they can make decisions and they can move forward. Other ones, it's a little bit harder where we do have to educate them and walk them through the steps. And it's okay. I like to teach, so to me, it's not a problem, but it usually takes a little bit longer, a little bit more patience. The hardest part I'd say with that is when they're asking lots of questions and they haven't gone through it before, their pocketbooks aren't really deep enough to go through that education.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. It's yes,
Yeah.
we can teach them, but it takes us longer. So technically we should charge more for it.
Yeah. That's fair. So you did something really unique early in Beyond Design's development. You incorporated mechanical engineering and CAD into your services. How has this integration enhanced your guys' ability to deliver comprehensive product solutions? And what kind of advantages does it give your clients?
When we did that, it was early on in the company. And so my background being industrial design, but really liking manufacturing and really design for manufacturing, CAD started to become a tool and it started to become more and more of a necessity.
Mhm.
And so when Beyond Design started, SolidWorks was also just starting. And what SolidWorks did for the industry was really provide a professional tool that was an engineering tool that you could take all the way from concept through manufacturing.
Mhm.
And that tool, specifically SolidWorks, in the hands of an industrial designer, enables us to speed up our process while still making sure things are manufacturable. So when we talk about draft or wall thickness, or if we're going to have undercuts or assemblies, the designers understand the principles and the rules. So
Mhm.
they're able to design the parts the way that they want them to look and feel and to be
Mhm.
within the restraints of manufacturing.
Right.
And so in some cases, the designers have become the engineers. And
Mhm.
so from a company standpoint, it really gave us an advantage of not having any boundaries and working faster at developing the CAD files for solutions.
Wow,
So like,
that's
it's like one of the things like we intentionally stayed away from Rhino. A
yeah.
lot of the schools loved teaching Rhino. It was free. The kids loved it because they could get in there and they make 3D objects. They really couldn't really edit them and they couldn't take them to manufacturing. And it was really just an idea, like what Midjourney is.
Mhm.
Where at SolidWorks, it was more absolute. And so we just stuck with that and became masters at SolidWorks.
Yeah. Now, is that pretty common? And forgive my ignorance, but is that pretty common now these days to use CAD and what you guys do, like the design process, or is that
Oh
something that?
yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh
Okay.
yeah. Yeah, the difference between, let's say, firms or designers are some designers who are using programs like Rhino are just doing it just for the appearance, just to get an idea out. But then there's other ones that are more towards the mechanical side, and they're going to use a program like SolidWorks or Creo or Fusion 360, which are also engineering packages.
Mhm.
So it really depends upon who you are and what you're trying to do and what court you're trying to play in.
Yeah, definitely. And so you've been involved in creating programs like Dig 8 and NPD 101 to teach students about product development. What inspired you to develop these initiatives and how do they contribute to the future of industrial design?
Good question. I always think back when I was in high school and went to the guidance counselor and what do you want to be when you grow up? Where do you want to go to school? And I went to Syracuse because my art teacher went to Syracuse and they thought, oh, you're in art, so this is like a good school for you. So I'm like, all right, great, I'll go there. But it was really by accident that I found industrial design. And it really changed my life. And I was lucky because I got into the program right at the right time, at my age and the plan and everything. But I knew a lot of people, and I still know a lot of people that get into industrial design after they've already gone through education, after they've already gone through just going nuts of what do they want to do in life. And then they find industrial design and they're just so happy, but they lost a lot of years. When I teach the students in the elementary schools, high schools, colleges, I'm always trying to see if there's one or two kids that I can connect with
Mhm.
to get them to really let them know that there are options out there. You don't have to be a doctor, a lawyer, an accountant. Really have this option. If you want to be a designer, you want to be an engineer, you want to be in marketing, you want to be in sales. There's so many different things in product development. And industrial design is just one of them. But it's a good central point if you like being involved in a lot of different things.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That
I'm old enough to, I'm what, 61. And when I got out of school, people didn't know what industrial design was. They thought we were like engineers. I thought, oh, you're fine artist. Like, so mixed with that with marketing, you throw it all together. Where today, industrial designers are running companies, they're in charge of the programs and the direction of the company and where they're headed as far as product, but also image and brand and
yeah.
thing. We've come a long way in that regard.
Yeah, you think about industrial designer in the context of a company like a Tesla or something like that, it becomes, and it's cool that you're actually going out to even students as young as in elementary school. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. The idea is, it's a process of what we do. You first have to educate and research and find out as much information as you can. And then you have to take that and you have to brainstorm and come up with ideas around the problems that you've identified. And then from there, you have to either mechanically make it so it can work or aesthetically make it so it feels good, price points, and these are all things just part of life. The business and economy works. And so if you teach them young, it's like having a lemonade stand,
Hmm.
right? It's never too early to teach kids about having a lemonade stand. It's just
Yeah.
if you don't want to do lemonade, you can make a skateboard and parts and graphics and lots of different things.
Yeah, for sure. That's a really good analogy. This has been awesome, Michael. Where can people learn more about you and where can people learn more about your agency?
If you go to beyonddesign.com, you'll find our website. On there, there's all of our contact information. We try and post a lot of different projects and we try and include more information about how did we get to the solution, not
Hmm.
just here's a beautiful image of the final solution.
Hmm.
There's a story behind it. And you can always give us a call at 773-290-10 or 1797 1797. People email us more than they call
Yeah,
us now.
fair enough. Thank you so much for being on. This has been great.
Sure. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. And if you have any other questions, give me a call.
Sounds great. Thanks.